Bonjour, Mishko Pakanan Quain Edition Cosmungdo Dam. Hi, everybody. It's Sandi Boucher here once again. I'm Red Thunderbolt Woman of the Loon Clan, a proud member of Seine River First Nation in Treaty 3 territory in Northern Ontario. And today, well, let's put it this way. Over the last week, if you follow my blog posts or my videos or both, if you're on my email list or on my social media, you know that I really focused in on relationships first, building relationships. How, when it comes to Indigenous engagement, non-Indigenous people tend to form relationships with the people they work with. The work comes first. For Indigenous people, we tend to work with people we have relationships with. Relationship first. And I think that's a comfort level, that's a safe space, that's a survival mechanism. We work with people we can trust, and that is not a given if you're Indigenous living within Canadian borders. So because I spent the last week talking about relationships, I thought I would touch base on the podcast today and ask, how do you think this relationship is going? Because if you're non-Indigenous, this relationship might be different for you, especially if you came into it from a business or employment mindset. If you came into this relationship as part of your job, there's a good chance it's more uncomfortable than if you came in as a potential new friendship. And I guess that's really, when we dig deep and uncover things, that's what I wanted to focus on today. Because if you approach a relationship, in my humble opinion, if you approach a relationship from that I want to be your friend stage, I believe that puts you in a lot more open, more curious, less controlling mindset. Whereas if you come at it from an employment or business standpoint, you want to control it. Not you specifically, but just in general, you want to talk about certain topics. You want to learn certain things, and there's a whole bunch of things you don't want to learn. And that's the problem. Because you see, I work with so many people that are interested in Indigenous engagement for a wide variety of reasons, but truth be told, 99.9% of the customer base I have is they want to increase or improve their Indigenous engagement because they are trying to save their company. It's a for-profit business. They want to get better at customer service to Indigenous people. Yes, I do that. And rave reviews. Or it's a resource company and they want to increase engagement or get better at it because they need the resources. So you can see how it's still that picking and choosing. When you approach a relationship from that friendly standpoint, and here's the point and the kicker for this week, you humanize us. You're not controlling the conversation. The conversation flows naturally. You end up learning so much if you back away on the control, because many Indigenous people, control is just not in our realm. If it is, really good chance lack of healing. Because I know being Anishinaabe, a huge part of our teachings is accepting that we don't control a whole bunch. We don't control Mother Earth. We don't control the animals. We don't control other people. We don't control the day. We don't control what's going to happen today. But we can appreciate it and learn from it and work with it. See the difference? So if you want to engage with Indigenous people because you just want to learn something specific, you want to learn about their culture, the individual you're thinking of, or you want to learn how to serve them better, that is so dehumanizing. And any exposure to Canadian history is going to explain to you why that's a bad thing. We are human. We are not just customers. We are not just people that wear really neat outfits when we get together for our gatherings once a year. We're not just, they have really neat drum songs. Do you know what I mean? That is so dehumanizing. And what you may not realize, kept a secret from you. I guess that makes me bad at relationships. We shouldn't be keeping secrets. But if you have been following my work, following my social media posts, on my email list, listening to this podcast, whatever it is, one of the things I've really pushed back against is assimilation. And often I will get a request from someone, can you give us the 10 steps to this or the 5 steps to this? That's assimilation. That is asking me to take my Indigenous knowledge and my Indigenous teachings and mainstream it, to do it like non-Indigenous people will do. And one of the things I have been adamant about for the last 14 years of my career is I will share what you need, but I will share it the way we share it. I will share it in my stories. I will share it in my jokes. I will share it in my images. Because that way, I believe you get a better quality education. You're not only getting the information you need, but you were actually practicing getting that information in an Indigenous way. So I'm not just teaching you the facts about Indigenous engagement, you're actually practicing it while we engage. So maybe you didn't realize that. But by reading my stories, by learning not to jump in with questions and actually take the time to contemplate it, to see what you take from the story, to trust in yourself, to build your confidence and your wisdom, to learn the steps to Indigenous engagement without them being a checklist. All of that has been part of our relationship. And I happen to really enjoy our relationships. I enjoy the space to tell my stories, even when I'm not in a First Nation community. I enjoy the space to be me, to share my stories, even in your space when you turn on this podcast. And if there's a key to Indigenous engagement, that's it. If we're going to work together and you're going to chair the meeting or you're going to invite us into your office or workspace, do we still have enough space to be us? Is the agenda going to be so flippin' tight that it feels controlled? Because if I don't have time to tell you a story about what happened this morning and how funny it was, then this isn't relationship building. This is assimilation. This is control. And if that keeps happening, don't be surprised if you start to notice that only the most assimilated Indigenous people can stay at your table. Because the ones that follow the red road and do our traditions and tell our stories and share a meal together, really good chance they're going to be really super uncomfortable there. So how has our relationship been for you? Like I said, I know I've enjoyed it. Of course, I control the podcast. I'm the one freely speaking here. But I would like to believe that if you and I sat down for coffee, I could still freely share. Because I believe in you, and I believe in our combined future. I believe in reconciliation, or I would not be doing this work. Without hope, there is no future. Giving up, acquiescence, that's a condition of oppression. That's a natural human reaction to oppression. I don't play that game anymore. I hope that made sense. I hope you are enjoying our relationship. Until next week, my friend, I love you. Take care. Bye bye.